And how old are your children?
So it goes all the way from 16 down to age 1. And in between, yeah, we've got 2, and we've got 9, and then 13, and then nearly 15.
And how are you raising your children to embody the values that you're speaking of?
To the best that I can by example, and the older ones understand what I did in my line of work, because I think a big part of being a man is sticking to your principles. It's about doing your duty regardless of human respect or in some cases money. And when I see people who have had similar experiences, not just in schools or universities, but with other companies as well, and I know what's involved in it, I respect that because of the courage that I know it takes. So I think example is one thing. The other thing is that parents are always the children's main teachers, whether they realize it or not. And even when the kids attend schools and parents feel like the school is mainly doing the job for them, parents are always the biggest educational influence on their children. Let's say you're a father who, when he gets home from work, goes out with his friends drinking straight away. Now, he might not feel that he's teaching his children, but he is. They're getting a lesson every day about what a man is and how a man behaves, how a man treats his wife, treats his children. So be careful of what kind of behavior you're showing. And that's like the implicit teaching. But I think also you need to realize that, especially if they go into a public school, they probably aren't getting the books that you think they're getting. So reading the old stories, it can be the Bible, it can be fairy tales, it can be classic literature, and discussing them with your children, especially if it's boys, thinking about some of the things like honor and courage that are often put down nowadays as being somehow old fashioned and past it. That's really important because a lot of adverts, a lot of popular entertainment is deliberately subversive. It's getting kids to question who they are as boys, as girls, and the traditional roles that go with that. So parents need to be active in combating that, because the stream is only going to take them one way if you let them float down it. And you have to be strong and stand against it.
Do you have daughters?
I do. Yeah, I've got 4 daughters, 2 sons.
Amazing. So, how are you raising your daughters to be traditional women? I mean, there are so many options for them in this world. Are you sending them to university, or are they? What is your plan for helping them perhaps be wives and mothers, or maybe CEOs?
Yeah, so the eldest now, 16, she's just finished a big set of exams. So we've got the next step of her future to prepare for. I've had forthright and clear discussions about what the boys her age are now interested in. We know what 16, 17, 18-year-old boys are like. She's been talking to me about what she's seen as well in her peer group. And it's important for fathers to be involved in their children's lives like that. So you can have discussions that are going to go against the grain of what modern culture is now, because you don't want your daughters in particular being socialized mainly by pop culture and their peer group, because it's likely to cause them a lot of pain. So I think that's important. And the other thing is that you need the daughters to have a really good relationship with the mother. This is things like, could be cooking together. It could be household chores as well, cleaning, washing up, laundry. I think acquiring habits from what household management actually involves from your mother, and seeing that she's doing it because she loves you and she wants to create a nice home environment, and why that's valuable. That's some of the most useful teaching I think that young girls can get. And if anything, they're told the opposite now in school. They're told that a successful life as a woman means basically behaving like a man. And that's why feminism, I think, on the deepest level is actually a kind of misogyny. I know that sounds crazy to say, but feminism tells girls that the key to success is behaving like a man.
So, as a Christian, how do you raise your children in the faith?
I think what I've said about schools sadly applies to many churches as well. So the parents need to also catechize the children as well. And sometimes this means using older books than you might find easily in the store. So the Baltimore Catechism from 1895 is really good. I'd recommend that one with the young kids. It's got some nice pictures to go with it. And don't do it with a light touch, so you can just read a few of the questions out, see if they know the answers, have a discussion about it, and then once you see that things are becoming tough, especially if they're very young kids, you can do some drawings or something based on it instead. But I think the parents need to remember that not just history or maths or geography, but also the faith, and teaching the kids why some of the objections they might have heard from peer group or heard in lessons at school can be answered. That's really important. And encouraging the children to pray as well, try and get to church once a week, and having a good relationship with your own parents. So showing that family goes beyond just your own household, and that you are their father, but you're also your father's son, and you are respectful towards him. I think that shows that they know that, okay, dad's the boss, but even he has a boss, because you've got the idea that the man looks to God, and then the woman looks to the man, the child looks to the woman. Everything's like a chain of command. So this is where I think some of the feminist critiques of patriarchy go wrong, in presenting the man as a kind of tyrant who can do whatever he wants. Whereas really the father's legitimate authority comes from placing himself in that position as servant ultimately. So the authority is given to him because he's assumed that role.